I'll give you a cue here in just a second. Here we go. Stand by.
Hello everyone, my name is Leslie Rohde. Honored to be here today with KLRU's Decibel, filling in for my good friend Judy Maggio, who has taken some time off. Today's issue, this morning we want to talk about, in light of all of the recent bombings here in Austin, how have we helped our children deal with fear and anxiety that they may have, and that they may still feel, even though the investigation is continuing now. This morning we have Piper Steggy Nelson with us from SAFE, and we're so happy that you were able to come and share some of your wisdom with us today. You know, this is tough for adults. How can children even process this? What's some of the first pieces of advice you give parents to help their children deal with some of the things that we've heard about recently?
I think one of the first things is just making sure that you're talking to your kids about it, and you need to be doing that in a very age-appropriate way, but reassuring your children that they are safe, that they're safe at school, that they're safe with you, and making sure that they have the ability to express how they're feeling about it as well. You know, one of the things is that children express their concerns and their fears in different ways depending on the child. For example, my son is really able to talk about his feelings, but my daughter, if I were to say, there's a lot going on, how are you feeling? She might not be able to find the words, and so what we do with her is we let her draw, and we let her find other ways to express the way that she's feeling. So it's really about finding ways to engage your kids and let them know, let you know how they're feeling.
That's good. I was going to ask you that. What type of activities do you suggest with kids that maybe can't verbalize what they're feeling?
You know, and I think that sometimes it's about letting them express their feelings, and sometimes it's just letting them express. And so I think that it can be music, it can be playing games with them, it can be letting them draw or letting them talk, but it can also just be giving them a good cuddle. One of the things that we've noticed is that if your child is hanging around a little bit more, it means that they want to talk. If they're hanging on to you while you're doing the dishes, or there's an extra cuddle at night, it means that they need to express some things.
Or they need just some good hugs,
some
reassurance,
they do,
which we all need.
That's
we all need. Okay, we do want to tell you all, if you all have some good advice, maybe, or some things that you've been talking to your children about, or how you dealt with the last few weeks here in Austin, we would love to know about it. So give us a comment, let us know how your children have dealt with this. And you know, as I said, they got the bomber. You know, that part we might be able to breathe a sigh of relief, but the investigation is going to go on and go on. And let's be honest, it's hard to get away from the information. It really is. And that brings me to this question: how much news media is enough for kids? And what age are we talking about allowing them to see some of this?
I think you can really take cues from your children, actually. I think if you have elementary school kids, I don't think that they need a lot of news interaction. My daughter, who's in 2nd grade, when we're in the car listening to the radio and they say anything about violence or anything that's remotely negative, frankly, she says, "Mommy, please turn the radio off." She knows that she can't handle.
And how old is she?
She's in 2nd grade.
Wow.
But some kids, you know, so if you're in elementary school, we need to make sure that we're not overexposing them. And that's not just things on the radio or things on TV. That's if you're in a public space and you're in a waiting room and the TV happens to be on, or if you have friends and family that like to talk about things that maybe are not appropriate. When you get to middle school, there can be a little bit more engagement. I think in middle school, one of the concerns is making sure that they can differentiate between fact and fiction, sort of what they've seen already on fictional shows about violence, and making sure that they know what the facts are. And then when you get to high school, I mean, they know. They're on the media, they see things, they hear things. So there it's really about talking to them about how they can be part of the solution. And making sure that they know that following regulations is really important.
Okay.
But talking about how they're part of the solution.
But what about, we had the situation, say, with the recent bombings. We need to educate our kids in some ways about, you know, what, like in my household, it was thank you for bringing the Amazon packages in, but let's not do that for a while.
Right.
You know, so stop bringing in the packages.
Right.
So they have to know a little bit about this, even elementary kids.
They do. They do.
That's a hard balance.
And in fact, we had a recent school meeting, and we talked about how much you tell the children about, and this was in elementary school. Both my children are elementary school age. And we talked a little bit about how much you tell the kids about the bombings. And it was suggested in that meeting that you talk to them about suspicious packages. You talk to them about when you see something suspicious, period, you say something. But getting into the specifics of the fact that there have been 4 and possibly 5 bombings, getting into the fact that there have been 2 people killed, 4 people injured,
that's when you draw
that
the line.
might be a little too much for an elementary school kid. So finding the right balance. And I know that in my house, talking to my kids about suspicious packages and letting an adult know when you see something suspicious. I should stop using that word. Is the important thing.
That word.
Iffy packages is the important part. Whereas getting into the specifics, not iffiness, not so much. You know, the other thing is with elementary school kids, and frankly with middle school and high school kids, one of the important things is to make sure that they know where to go if they see something suspicious, right? So we talk a lot in our house, in our elementary school, and our great counselor, Ms. Gilbert, talks a lot about making sure that there is one adult at school that you can always trust in and go to, and one adult at home that you can always trust in and go to. And so if you feel like something is not quite right, if you see something that's not quite right, you can go to that person.
And that might be a good example to set up for your kids in different places that they go. Say at the dance studio, if there's one adult that they could go to, or at the church, if there's one, you know, or that type of thing. That's a good, but then we draw the line in terms of, like our mayor has said, we want to, one of the lessons that has come out of this in his mind was we need to get to know our neighbors more. We need to get to know the people who are around us and get out and reach out. But when we're dealing with our children in this case, you really have to guard that in some way. At least I feel that way as a mom.
I was having the exact same thoughts yesterday. My son and I took the dog for a walk, and my daughter stayed at home. And I thought to myself, in this day and age, does she know what to do in this instance? And that sparked us having that conversation. I think it's really important for us to know our immediate neighbors.
Yes.
I really do. And I think it's really important for her to understand that she has some sense of safety and trust in our immediate neighborhood. But you're right, there have to be lines to that. She has to know that if it's someone she doesn't know, even if they say that they're a neighbor, that's a whole different thing.
Right, right. Let's talk a little bit about school safety here, because of course, you know, the bombings came on the heels of, well, a huge school shooting in Florida. Another one this week in Maryland. School is a place where they're supposed to be safe. And I know children have felt a lot of anxiety in going to school and wondering what they need to do. What do you tell parents to tell their kids before they, you know, in light of all this stuff?
Reassuring your children that they are safe at school is really important. We can talk about the fact that there's never any absolute certainty that everything's going to be okay. But talking about, especially with older kids, the difference between a possibility and a probability is really important. So making sure that they know that the chance of something happening is really small. And then also making sure that they know what the procedures are at their school.
Right.
This is both for parents and for kids. The parents, I think it's really helpful to know what your school is doing to prepare your kids for these sort of
how much you can know.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
There's only a certain amount.
That's right.
And one of the bits of advice that I saw that you had written about is taking care of yourself, which I find as a parent is really important, and you don't think about that.
No.
But I've been a little more jumpy the last few weeks.
Yes.
And I'm sure all of you have as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and probably that will remain.
Right.
So what are the steps in taking care of ourselves, other than taking a deep breath every once in a while?
Well, which is not a small thing, by the way.
No.
Taking a deep breath is imperative. You know, I think we as parents don't always do a great job of taking care of ourselves anyway. But so making sure that you have someone that you feel like you can talk to. You can't talk to your kids necessarily about your deep down fears and anxieties. And so if you need an adult person that you can talk through those things with. You know, and on this one, I talked to my therapist, I talked to my husband, and I still found myself crying at my desk. I find that for myself, exercise is really important, eating well is really important, and I try and meditate twice a week for 10 minutes. Do I get to it all the time? No, but I find that it really makes a difference in terms of how I'm dealing with things. And I just think it's not just that when we are stressed, we pass that on to our children. It's also that we're humans and we deserve that kind of self-care. And if we're going to go out into the world and be good people and do good in the world, we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as well.
And we can parent a little bit better.
And
if
we can parent a lot better.
If we can think clearly, and that's true. I mean, let's be honest about it. If there are concerns, what are some of the symptoms in kids for, maybe they are having some anxiety that crosses the line into something that they may need a little bit more help? What are some of the symptoms that parents can watch out for?
And this is different with every single child.
I'm sure.
So we mentioned the clinginess. If someone is holding on to you longer, if someone needs more cuddles, if someone is not eating as well, or if someone is crying more, if there are more temper tantrums, if there are more slammed doors and angry words in teenagers. I don't have teenagers yet, but I think that's
that
the
may
norm.
happen.
And I know, I think that
may happen. I
just
have a middle schooler, but.
So any indicator that you see that your kid's behavior is really different from what they've been like normally is something just to check in with them, just to sit down and have that conversation. And maybe you need extra help. Maybe you need them to go talk to the counselor at school, or maybe they need to go to talk to a therapist or just a different adult. But just checking in with your kid when you see any indicator in these times is really important. And always reminding them that violence is not an answer, that hitting someone is not an answer, and that's for us parents as well. Hitting, spanking, it just doesn't work. When we're trying to tell kids that violence is not the answer, using violence ourselves in discipline doesn't get that message across.
Get it. And we should say this too, you work at SAFE.
I do.
And what type of services that would you all have for anyone who may need some help right now?
Yes, so we have a hotline, and the number is 1-800-737-SAFE. And that number is a hotline where you can call for pretty much any of the issues that we address. So SAFE stands for Stop Abuse for Everyone, and our goal is to stop the cycle of violence here in Central Texas. We work to prevent and also work to support survivors of child abuse, domestic violence, human trafficking, and sexual assault. And so that hotline is set up to address any of those issues if you have any concerns or issues with any of those topics. However, we also use that hotline to provide parenting tips. So if people are having trouble, if you feel like you are about to blow your top with your kids or you're about to hit your kids, you can call that hotline and they can talk you through other options. They can talk you through how to take deep breath. They can just give you some support as you are trying your best to be a good parent. We also have a program called Strong Start that is specifically geared to help parents be better parents. And we have Strong Start counselors that work with parents in the home, in our offices, wherever works best for the parents, to make sure they have everything that they need to be the best parents they can.
That's good. And even if you do need some advice on, we got the number?
I gave you the wrong number for the SAFE
Let's
line.
make sure we get the number right.
They told me I didn't have to memorize it, and I didn't.
Okay, we'll post it on the comments for everybody too, so you can have it. It's good to know.
That's
I mean,
great.
especially during these times, if there's something that your child may be doing or fear that you may be able to help, the hotline, a person on the other end may be able to help.
Yes, it's 512-267-SAFE, 512-267-SAFE. You can also go to our website, www.safeaustin.org, and you can chat with our operators, and you can also text. And the number for text is 888-737-SAFE. Did I do that right? No.
Oh, well.
737-888-SAFE.
That's okay.
I'm just failing on this.
That's okay. We'll get it in the comments so people can
Thank
have
you.
it. And
Thank
really,
you.
we appreciate what SAFE is doing in the community. And thank you for coming on this morning and sharing some advice with all
Lovely
of us
to be with
parents.
you. Thank you so much for having
We
me.
thank all of you for being with us. Until next time, thanks for watching KLRU's Decibel.